out to join us this morning for this presentation. My name's Doug Bernstein. I'm the director of the Business Law Department at Plunkett Cooney. Today, you'll hear from my colleagues, Aaron Burrell of Dickinson Wright and Jennifer Bentley, who is the executive director of the Michigan State Bar Foundation. So what we're talking about today is the Bar Foundation's Banking on Justice program, which offers financial institutions an opportunity to strengthen community investment, do some good for the community at large, help those who are underprivileged, and give them access to legal services which they ordinarily would not have. How this is done is through the interest captured on IOLTA accounts, which are trust accounts maintained by attorneys and law firms for the benefit of clients. And the interest goes to fund the Access to Justice program, which you will hear about. Now, I'm a member of the State Bar Foundation's IOLTA Community Investment Committee, and one of our jobs is to get the participating banks interested in the program, get them educated, and hopefully get them involved and pay a competitive interest rate so we can fund this very worthwhile program. A bit of background: in my prior life, I was an in-house attorney for Michigan National Bank for a long time and then for Standard Federal Bank. And I'm well aware of community reinvestment programs and financial institutions' obligation and desire to do well within the community. Since then, I transitioned to Plunkett Cooney, and one of our core values is to do good things within the community. It's not enough just to be a lawyer. It's not enough just to provide legal services and collect fees. The right thing to do, and sometimes, and hopefully without being reminded, is do things for the good of the community. And that's what this program helps us all do. And you will hear from Aaron, who is the co-chair at Dickinson Wright of the firm's Diversity and Inclusion Committee and co-chair of the firm's litigation training. He's active with the State Bar of Michigan and on the Access to Justice Campaign Steering Committee for the foundation. And he'll talk about why lawyers generally participate in this program and how important it is to the community at large. Jennifer is the executive director of the Michigan State Bar Foundation, and she makes things go. And she's the driving force. We take orders from her. Don't trust that kind face. You know, she's a taskmaster, keeps us on point. But the truth of the matter is, it's for the good of all of us. Participation is the right thing to do. Now, there's a lot going on with social and civil legal justice. It's a good cause. It is particularly relevant these days. And it's very important for all of the banking community to participate if and when possible and to the greatest extent possible. My firm, Plunkett Cooney, supports it. We expect all of our attorneys to do good things, to participate in pro bono cases, to contribute to access to justice, and to bring community awareness to this fine program. I see names on the chat. I would love for each of you who are participating in this to be vocal and to also identify the financial institution with whom you're affiliated. And fortunately for each of you, I'm basically Ed Sullivan here. I get to turn it over to the talent. And with that, I will turn it over to Aaron, who will give you more detail about this very worthwhile program. Thanks for your attention.
Jennifer, are you taking the next portion?
Sure, yeah, I can talk a little bit quickly about the foundation, and then I'll turn it over to Aaron. Eleanor F. Sherian isn't with us today. She is the IOLTA project manager. She was planning on being here and is ill, so was unable to join us. But thank you all for coming. As Doug said, I'm the executive director of the Michigan State Bar Foundation. And the Bar Foundation is a charitable tax exempt organization that is authorized by the Supreme Court to receive the interest on IOLTA accounts. We provide funding and leadership to increase access to justice throughout Michigan. And we use the interest that's received from IOLTA accounts from financial institutions primarily to provide grants to nonprofit civil legal aid organizations throughout Michigan. And these organizations help approximately 40,000 low-income Michigan households each year. In terms of the learning objectives for today, we're going to talk about IOLTA revenue and how it supports civil legal aid, what that is and why does that matter. And then Aaron is going to talk about how lawyers and law firms support legal aid and why they value access to justice. And then we'll talk about what banks need to know and how you can help. This is really a partnership between financial institutions and the Bar Foundation and the legal community, and we want to provide more information to you about that. Civil legal aid IOLTA supports civil legal aid throughout Michigan, and IOLTA is interest on lawyers' trust accounts in Michigan, and IOLTA account attorneys deposit funds into an IOLTA account when the funds might be more nominal not. There's trust accounts and IOLTA accounts. So IOLTA is a way for attorneys and law firms to pool client money. And lawyers own these accounts, but they're pooled client funds. And the interest then is remitted to the Bar Foundation. IOLTA programs were first established in Australia and Canada in the 1960s and 1970s. And Florida was the first state to adopt IOLTA. They adopted it in 1978 and it became fully functional in 1981. Some leaders in the legal community in Michigan saw IOLTA as a way to help fund this important work. And in 1990, the Michigan Supreme Court adopted IOLTA and tasked the Michigan State Bar Foundation with administering the IOLTA program. The Michigan Rules of Professional Conduct, which are all lawyers are required to follow the rules of professional conduct. The rules include language about IOLTA and what's required for lawyers. And so it talks about that it requires lawyers to hold IOLTA accounts at an approved financial institution. And then, so what that means is that financial institutions have to get approval first from the State Bar of Michigan to hold trust in IOLTA accounts. And once they receive that approval, there's certain eligibility requirements that have to be met. And the Bar Foundation monitors those eligibility requirements. And so what we're trying to do is make sure that financial institutions can hold IOLTA accounts and to understand those eligibility requirements. And also want to help financial institutions understand the great use that this IOLTA money is being used for. So the next, not everyone understands and knows about civil legal aid, so we wanted to spend a few moments talking about what that is. This is what we mentioned, that the interest from IOLTA accounts is used to fund civil legal aid. And so there are nonprofit civil legal aid organizations throughout Michigan that are staffed by dedicated lawyers who many have devoted their career to making sure people have access to the civil justice system. And IOLTA is a really important source of funding for this work. Unlike criminal cases where someone has a right to a lawyer through a public defender's office if they don't have enough money, there is not a universal right to counsel in civil cases. And these are important cases affecting someone's housing stability, helping people remove barriers to employment like expungements or driver's license restoration, helping increase income to the household or family stability, protecting against elder abuse and exploitation. So in these legal aid organizations help in all these cases and really make a difference when they're able to assist. I wanted to share a few client stories, and there's many examples of great results that legal aid programs work and pro bono attorneys also have achieved for clients, but a couple stories stuck out and thought it might demonstrate the value of their assistance. So a veteran contacted legal aid and was unable to become a nurse because they had a long time ago a prior misdemeanor. Legal aid represented them, helped them get that criminal record expunged. That client now is a graduate from nursing school and fully employed. And really thanks legal aid for the work that they did to help him. And then there was another single mom with children that contacted legal aid. She was purchasing a home on a land contract, and the vendor or seller took her to court when the land contract was almost paid off and tried to take the house back. She fortunately had kept receipts and contacted legal aid, and he had failed to credit her for several of the payments she had made on the house, and the house was in fact almost paid off. Legal aid represented her, and she was able to obtain the deed to her home and still lives there now. So these are just examples of really, stability and life-changing things that legal aid was able to help with, and those occur on a daily basis throughout the state. Legal aid helps families that fall below the 125% of the federal poverty guidelines. So the average income, for example, for a family of 4 is $33,750. And about 59% of the population served identify as people of color. And last year, in all of the households served by legal aid, there were over 112,000 people that were assisted through these nonprofit organizations. There is a huge need for legal aid. Are over 1.7 million people in Michigan that qualify for legal aid, meaning that they fall below that federal poverty guideline. I was a legal aid lawyer for 20 years prior to becoming the executive director at the Bar Foundation 6 years ago. And legal aid organizations do not have enough resources to represent everyone that qualifies and needs their help. Each week they have to see what clients came in and ask for help and help as many as they can, but they don't have the resources to assist everyone. And they know when they provide an attorney, they can make a meaningful difference, but they don't have enough resources to help everyone that qualifies and needs help. There was a national study that found that 74% of low-income households experienced at least one civil legal problem each year. And in Michigan, there's only one legal aid attorney for every 5,401 eligible clients. And so when we have increased IOLTA revenue, we're able to increase grants to civil legal aid organizations, and they're able to represent more people. And this really translates into supporting communities. supporting communities that with where your financial institutions are located. I'm gonna turn it over to Aaron Burrell. He's one of the many leaders within the legal community that champion access to justice efforts. And he's here to tell you about that today.
Thank you, Jennifer, and good morning again, everyone. Like Doug, I also just do what Jennifer tells me to do. She is the person that certainly runs the show. But good morning again. It's a pleasure to be with you all. And like Jennifer and Doug said, the legal aid community is near and dear to the heart of what we hope to accomplish as lawyers. Doug and I are partners at major law firms, but we don't look at IOLTA as a mere compliance requirement. We look at it as fulfilling our obligation as lawyers to advance the cause of justice. When lawyers take the oath of office, if you will, for the practice of law, we all agree that we won't reject for any consideration personal to ourselves the cause of the defenseless or the oppressed. And even though Doug and I represent banks and corporations and insurance companies and oil companies and things like that, we feel that it's important that in our practice, we remain very close to the community where we serve. And our partnership with the legal aid community helps us tremendously in advancing that cause. You know, my career, I worked at Dickinson Wright pretty much the entire time. I was a clerk initially, but I've been here for the last 12 years. And I find that my work is rewarding, advancing the cause of my clients. But I also have an opportunity on a regular basis to assist individuals who are in need. And I find that those cases are often the most rewarding of all. Some of my cases have been to help individuals who are defending their property against what would be property poachers and things of that nature. My most meaningful case is when I had an opportunity to represent a class of individuals in the state of Michigan who were ultimately denied what was a cure to the hepatitis C illness. And through the efforts of a number of lawyers from a number of firms, we were able to allow that group of individuals who are denied access primarily because they haven't suffered enough illness. The state of Michigan ultimately denied them because their illness hadn't advanced to a high enough stage. We were able to obtain a settlement with the state of Michigan that allowed that group of individuals to receive what is ultimately a cure for hepatitis C. And the calls we received, the letters we received from individuals who said, not only thank you for what you've done, but you've really changed our life and the trajectory of our life. And those are the types of cases that, you know, we feel are part and parcel of who we are as attorneys. And that's why partnering with legal aid is so important. We've worked as law firms like Doug's and mine, we've worked with the legal aid community in a very meaningful way over a number of years. The legal aid community helps, as Jennifer noted, in a host of ways. And I participate in a number of these programs, expungement clinics, which allow individuals who have the unfortunate incident of a felony charge, but they're trying to get their careers together. They're trying to get their lives on the right track, to give them an opportunity to get back on the right path. And legal aid communities are at the forefront of the expungement effort. Small business incubators, I participated in those which allow small businesses to learn about employment issues, to learn about intellectual property issues, to learn about what it takes to actually form a business and operate a business. And I find legal aid communities have advanced that cause as well. And ultimately, the legal aid community has been, for us as law firms, our conduit back into the community to try to help all those individuals who need our assistance, which is why the Access to Justice campaign is so very important. The Access to Justice campaign is a centralized campaign that's administered by the Michigan State Bar Foundation in partnership with the State Bar of Michigan to raise money for 15 civil legal aid organizations throughout the state. It's a compilation of law firms, of solo practitioners, and corporate counsel. And we're proud that this year Ford and Blue Cross Blue Shield are now leading the campaign for corporate counsel. Our firms, Doug's and mine, Dickinson Wright and Plunkett Cooney, are just two of many firms that support access to justice throughout the state of Michigan. As noted on the slide here, there are 47 leadership law firms that participate in the effort and have committed to giving significant financial donations to support access to justice. And the legal aid community has contributed over 16,000 hours of pro bono assistance in partnership with legal aid programs. When we as law firm lawyers have an opportunity to assist the legal aid community, we don't take it lightly. And Jennifer knows a lot of my day, on many days, is dedicated to ensuring that many of my legal aid clients have the resources they need to be successful in helping their clients. I feel that when I help Lakeshore Legal Aid of West Michigan, when I can go down the list, when I'm helping these legal aid organizations, I'm trying to do my small part to advance the cause that they have, which is to help those who need it most. And at the end of the day, this should matter to you as banks as well. And we ask that you do your part to try to advance the cause of the legal aid community. And with that, I'll give it back to Jennifer, who will give you some more information on IOLTA rules and banking on justice.
Thanks so much, Aaron. So the Bar Foundation started the Banking on Justice campaign 3 years ago. And so a couple of the years have been during the pandemic. But we have 3 participating financial institutions, the Bank of Ann Arbor, CIBC, and Chase Bank. And they all pay higher than required interest rates. We want to quickly, we're not going to make you answer a poll, but just thinking about a question we had for you. We generally see about 100 to 150 new IOLTA accounts opened in Michigan each year. What percentage of new Michigan IOLTA accounts do you think were opened at Banking on Justice participating financial institutions in the first quarter of this year? And so the answer is 30%. And because Michigan just started their Banking on Justice program so recently, we expect that number to change. We've talked to other states who have had similar programs for a longer period of time, and those rates are closer to 50 to 65% of new IOLTA account at institutions paying higher rates. And we're really, so IOLTA is an important source of funding for legal aid programs throughout Michigan. Revenue received from IOLTA has not significantly increased after the 2008 recession. Interest earned on IOLTA accounts in 2007 in Michigan was $5 million, and it was only $1.5 million in 2021. And so we're really looking at opportunities to increase IOLTA revenue back to where it was previously. And of course, since 2007, the operating costs of legal aid programs have increased, and the decreased revenue from IOLTA is really having an impact in Michigan. In terms of, so I want to talk, there's the Banking on Justice program that encourages financial institutions to pay a higher than required rate, and we advertise those banks and promote those banks. But there's also compliance requirements in Michigan. In Michigan, financial institutions are required to get approval from the State Bar of Michigan to hold IOLTA accounts, and then required to follow the eligibility requirements set forth by the Bar Foundation. So interest is remitted to the Bar Foundation. Financial institutions submit monthly or quarterly reports. And then the comparability rules in Michigan, so an eligible financial institution must pay a rate on IOLTA comparable to what they pay on other accounts. So it may not be less than the highest rate generally available to non-IOLTA customers. So in this environment of rising interest rates, we should be seeing IOLTA rates rising. We have received notices from some banks that are going to be increasing IOLTA rates, or that they increased IOLTA rates because other rates within their banks are going up. And we are going to this fall start reaching out to financial institutions participating in IOLTA and reviewing IOLTA compliance, making sure that financial institutions are paying comparable rates. And this, we really want, we want to make sure financial institutions are still eligible to hold IOLTA accounts. I see a question in the chat. It said the rate rule. IOLTA account, at a minimum, the interest rate paid on IOLTA accounts may not be less than the highest rate generally available to non-IOLTA customers. So, and I'm happy after this to send the language from the rule and the actual rule. The Banking on Justice program, again, was launched in 2019. And this, we're encouraging financial institutions to increase interest rates paid. The requirements for the Banking on Justice program are 0.5% or 75% of the monthly effective federal funds rate. So as of September 1st, that rate would be 1.75%. In addition, we to be eligible for the Banking on Justice program, participating institutions waive all fees. Currently, more than 94% of eligible financial institutions waive fees. And we do have, prior to the Banking on Justice program, we had an honor roll program that many of you participate in. 94% participate in the honor roll program and waive fees on IOLTA accounts. So the Banking on Justice program requires financial institutions to continue to waive fees and to pay this higher interest rate. We have been promoting the financial institutions that are participating. We publish and distribute the information to lawyers, and we really try to highlight in as many ways as we can the Banking on Justice program. In terms of benefits of participating for you, financial institutions can demonstrate a commitment to DEI efforts by supporting legal aid. Also can earn community reinvestment credits. We collect significant data from our grantees each year, and we can provide you with letters highlighting values and metrics to show the impact of your investment. In addition, we think that for all the reasons that Doug and Aaron talked about, that really paying higher interest rates can support financial institutions' CSR and ESG goals. And we're happy to provide any documentation that can really help you underscore your investment and your efforts to support this work. In addition to CRA, CSR, and ESG, also the business from the legal community. We believe that the Banking on Justice campaign can really, participating can increase your business from the legal community. We have many lawyers and firms that really care about these issues. And we are highlighting the Banking on Justice campaign to the legal community as one way to support a thing they care about, access to justice. We are also We partner on many efforts with the State Bar of Michigan. There's over 42,000 members of the State Bar of Michigan. Michigan is what is called a mandatory bar, so all lawyers in the state are part of the State Bar of Michigan. And we partner with them on many things, and we are regularly putting ads in their monthly journal or in their emails to members, and with a heading saying where you bank matters, and highlighting the financial institutions that are paying higher rates and asking them to say, just like they would when they open a personal account, see what interest rate you're paying, because the interest rate being paid matters to this issue you care about. So we'll continue to really encourage lawyers to bank with participating institutions. And we highlight that on our website, in social media, and in other ways. And really, I think that as we see an increase in financial institutions participating, and as we continue to highlight, this will really become a cultural norm for law firms to really care about what interest rates are paid. I tell this story often, but I think it's worth repeating. I was at a State Bar event, and someone was a new member of the Michigan Bar, but had previously been in Oregon. And they have a banking on justice program that's been around for a while. And when she realized I was the executive director of the foundation in Michigan, she said, "What's happening with IOLTA interest rates?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Well, I've gone into financial institutions, and when I ask them what rate they're paying on their account, they're surprised that I'm asking her that I care." And I said, "Of course I care. I care about access to justice." And, you know, that is our goal in Michigan, to really have all attorneys, and we're working on that. And Doug and Aaron are here today talking about it, but to have attorneys really choosing their financial institution and caring about the rates paid. And we think that there can be great partnerships between financial institutions and the legal community to support this very important work. And we really encourage you to consider joining this. We're happy to provide any more information you need. We're happy to meet with you or your financial institution's leadership and talk about it. If you'd like more information, please, our email is easy, IOLTA, IOLTA @msbf.org. But we hope you'll consider joining. We are going to save time for questions, but I'm going to turn it back to Doug.
So one thing I've learned over the last 40 years where I've been practicing, both banking and law are relationship industries. And the more you do together, the more business you get. You don't necessarily have to think about it. And one of the ways to get business is you do good things. The goal here is to almost make participation natural, in that you don't have to think about what can I do that's good for the community. It's like when you get up in the morning, you know to get dressed. We want that same mindset. What can you do for the community? It doesn't have to take a specific reminder to do well. This is one of those avenues which will grow your relationships, and it'll come naturally and organic. It is the right thing to do. Occasionally we need a reminder, not to get dressed necessarily, but to participate in valuable, community-minded efforts that benefit all. Access to justice should not depend upon your financial wherewithal. Everybody is entitled to it. And this is one of the ways your institution can help. And we as attorneys take our role in the community very seriously. And this will allow us to help out. So, question for each of you participating before we open it up to questions. Was this relevant to your business and your efforts as a banker? Part one. Part two, are there other topics which you might be interested in where we might be able to help you? As Jennifer said, if you want more information, reach out to IOLTA at msbf.org. You can contact Aaron or me. We're happy to talk. And if there are questions, please ask. You've got the people who know the answers here and might be able to clear up any questions.
We put a poll in the chat. If you could, those were some of the questions Doug referenced or included in that poll. I'm seeing a question in the chat. It says, we offer IOLTA accounts, but only have one. How might we get more participation? So we are advertising financial institutions that participate in the Banking on Justice campaign. So no matter what quantity of accounts you currently have, if you're willing to participate, you can be part of the program, and we will highlight your financial institution on our website and in the materials to the State Bar. Are there other questions?
Did you see that, Jennifer? Pam is asking how to join.
Yes. I'm going to put a link to the, feel free to reach out to IOLTA@msbf.org and we can send you the specific information. But I'm also going to put a link in the chat to the Banking on Justice brochure so that people have that.
And I'll send everyone your information, Jennifer, your direct contact.
Great.
When I send out the recording as well. So please look out for that from me.
So the link I just shared is a brochure that tells more information about the campaign and who to contact to join, including a phone number and an email. Thank you, Marianne.
Thank you. Well, if there aren't any more questions, I just wanted to thank you, Jennifer, and your team at the State Bar Foundation, along with Doug and Aaron and your teams. Very important topics, and I hope all our bankers on will seriously consider the program and reach out to you for more information. As I mentioned, we are recording, and I will send that link, and please feel free to share that with others on your team as well. And I'll include the PDF that Jennifer just posted as well as her contact information. But it's been a pleasure to host you today. We're so happy to have you as a nearby partner, and look forward to working with you on additional projects as well.
Thank you so much to the Michigan Bankers Association to hosting this webinar for us. We really appreciate it.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, everyone, have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.